โอเคค่ะค่ะสวัสดีนะคะนิสิตนะคะแล้วก็ผู้เข้าร่วมอบรมนะคะการใช้ฐานข้อมูล WGSN ทุกท่านเลยนะคะวันนี้ทางห้องสมุดนะคะก็จัดหัวข้อนี้ขึ้นมานะคะให้สำหรับกับนิสิตหรือว่าทางคณาจารย์นะคะที่ใช้ฐานข้อมูลทางด้านแฟชั่นนะคะการออกแบบแฟชั่นออกแบบเครื่องประดับนะคะวิทยากรก็จะมาจากทางบริษัท WGSN นะคะเราจะใช้เวลาอบรมนะคะประมาณ1 ชั่วโมงนะคะทางวิทยากรแจ้งมาว่าประมาณ1 ชั่วโมงก็จะถึงประมาณบ่าย 2นะคะแต่ก่อนที่จะเริ่มเข้าสู่การแนะนำการใช้นะคะเดี๋ยวพี่จะขออนุญาตแนะนำวิธีการเข้าใช้ฐานข้อมูล WGSN ผ่านทางหน้าเว็บไซต์ห้องสมุดก่อนนะคะเดี๋ยวพี่ขออนุญาตเปลี่ยนหน้าจอนิดนึงเนาะทุกคนเห็นหน้าเว็บไซต์ห้องสมุดนะคะเดี๋ยวให้ทางทีมงานช่วยส่งลิงก์เว็บห้องสมุดให้ทางน้องๆทางแชทด้วยนะคะในส่วนของการเข้าใช้ทรัพยากรอิเล็กทรอนิกส์นะคะผ่านหน้าเว็บไซต์ห้องสมุดนะคะน้องๆจะต้องแสดงตัวตนผ่านCL Open A10 ก่อนนะคะโดยการใช้บัวสี ID นะคะจะแสดงตัวตนผ่านจากตรงนี้ก็ได้นะคะถ้าแสดงตรงนี้เนี่ยเราจะใช้งานได้จากกล่องสืบค้นแล้วก็จากเมนูดัตต้าเบสแต่พี่จะแนะนำวิธีง่ายๆถ้าเราจะใช้เมนูดัตต้าเบสโดยตรงเลยนะคะมาที่เมนูดัตต้าเบสนะคะตรงนี้นะคะก็จะเห็นเป็นฐานข้อมูลแยกตามคณะนะคะในส่วนของ WGSN ก็จะเป็นฐานข้อมูลที่คณะศิลปกรรมศาสตร์นะคะในสาขาการออกแบบก็จะใช้ประโยชน์ได้นะคะส่วนคณะที่จะใช้ประโยชน์ได้เยอะๆเลยเนี่ยก็จะเป็นวิทยาลัยอุตสาหกรรมสร้างสรรค์นะคะวิทยาลัยอุตสาหกรรมสร้างสรรค์ก็จะมีฐานข้อมูลอยู่ข้างล่างหน่อยนะวอลแวนเนาะอันนี้นะคะก็จะมีฐานข้อมูลที่ใช้ประโยชน์ได้หลายฐานนะคะโดยที่ฐานข้อมูลหลักเลยนะคะทางด้านการออกแบบแฟชั่นก็จะเป็น WGSN ตัวนี้นะคะน้องๆสามารถดูตัว I ได้นะคะตัว I จะมีข้อมูลว่าฐานข้อมูลนี้ครอบคลุมอะไรนะคะแล้วก็จะมีคลิปแนะนำการใช้นะคะซึ่งคลิปอันนี้จะเป็นคลิปเมื่อปีที่แล้วเดี๋ยววันนี้ที่เราอบรมกันพี่จะเอาคลิปอันนี้มาอัปเดตใหม่ซึ่งในการเข้าใช้ฐานข้อมูลนะคะเวลาที่นิสิตเข้ามาตรงนี้นะคะแล้วก็คลิกเพื่อใช้งานนะคะก็จะมีรหัสอาจจะมีตรงนี้ขึ้นมานะคะให้เราใส่บัวสี ID นะคะพอเราใส่บัวสี ID แล้วนะคะสำหรับฐานนี้เนี่ยเขาจะให้เราทำการล็อกอินนะคะเพื่อให้การใช้งานได้ครอบคลุมมากยิ่งขึ้นนะคะพอเราล็อกอินเข้าไปเดี๋ยวมันจะเข้าไปสู่หน้าฐานข้อมูลนะคะน้องๆบางท่านอาจจะทำเป็นแล้วบางท่านอาจจะยังไม่เคยทำนะคะมันจะเข้าสู่หน้าเว็บไซต์ของฐานข้อมูลซึ่งเราบอกรับเฉพาะ collection training แฟชั่นนะคะ fashion train นะคะนิดนึงถ้าใครจะทำตามก็ลองทำตามได้ก็จะเป็นหน้านี้นะคะทีนี้น้องๆก็จะต้องเข้ามาทำการ sign in นะคะก็จะมีตรงปุ่ม sign in อยู่หายไปไหนแล้วเดี๋ยวนะพี่มองไม่เห็นมันจะมีปุ่ม sign in อยู่นะคะมาแล้วเนี่ยนะคะล็อกอินตรงนี้นะคะทีนี้การล็อกอินนะคะน้องๆก็ถ้ายังไม่เคยล็อกอินมาก่อนนะคะให้มาทำการลงทะเบียนเพื่อสร้าง Account นะคะที่ตรงนี้นะคะตรงนี้เนาะถ้าใครยังไม่เคยมี Account มาก่อนให้มาล็อกอินจากลิงก์ตรงนี้ที่เราจัดไว้ให้นะคะส่วนใครที่เคยล็อกอินมาแล้วระยะเวลาถ้าเกิน90 วันเนี่ยมันจะหมดอายุนะคะน้องๆไม่ต้องสร้าง Account ใหม่น้องๆมาตรงนี้นะคะมา reactivate ตรงนี้นะคะอันนี้ก็เป็นขั้นตอนการเข้าใช้นะคะโอเคค่ะโอเค so ตอนนี้ it's about time นะคะ please allow me to welcome Rivani Changgra and Yu Ian you will be our speaker too from the WGSN นะคะ please welcome โอเคค่ะ
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for inviting us for today who hold the training session for you. So I'm Rivani. WGSN Client Success Specialist. I'm currently based in Indonesia and Ian currently based in Hong Kong. So we always work together to support our Southeast Asian clients to help them understand how the trend forecasting works so that it can help them for the business growth as well. So in today's session, I will show you how you can use WGSN for your research. And then I will also show you some tools and resources that you can use for your study and research as well. So let me share my screen. If you have any question, feel free to put it on the chat. We will discuss it at the end of the session. And if I'm speaking too fast, please let me know too. My colleague Ian will also help me to pause the time. Okay, let us start the session today. I will share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So for today's session, we will help you to understand how to navigate in the fashion platform and how you can actually use our reports, tools, and resources here to help you with your study to maximize your insight and information gatherings from our trend forecasting site today. So let me start with the homepage. So when you log into WGSN, this is what you will find. So if you don't know where to start, we always recommend you to look at the homepage first so that you can see what are the important reports that we want to highlight for the team. So you can see that we have feature report, we have key reports. Below here, we have what we call fashion feed. So I will explain in a bit what is fashion feed. You can also find it in your menu bar on your right-hand side here. And then you can also find the latest report in here. So in case you're looking for what is new that we are releasing right now, what are the season or what are the forecasts that we are focusing right now, you can actually look at the latest report here. So this is basically your homepage. So let me draw your attention to your right-hand side of the menu bar here. So we have reports, we have feeds, we have images and design resources. So I will explain how you can use these resources to your research and study. So let me start with fashion feed. So fashion feed, this is what we always call it the Pinterest of WGSN. So if you are getting used to look at Pinterest to look for inspiration, to look for mood boards, to look for color materials, to look for design trends, design inspirations, now you also have this in your WGSN. We call it fashion feed. This is where we will inform you the daily feeds of trends. What is new in the fashion industry? What are the new collaborations between brands? Or what is the new catwalk trends? What is the new color that just popped up? So treat this as your Instagram or even like Pinterest in WGSN where you can get your daily feeds of trends here. And I want to highlight that this is a very important page, especially for the future designers or even like future marketers here, for you to understand how this fashion industry actually work and how is it evolving and how is it growing. So in this fashion feed here, we also have the filter section, which is on top here. So you can actually filter based on the topic that you want to see more. For example, if you're working on a project on women's wear, of course, you wouldn't want to see the others. You want to focus on women's alone. So this is how I filter it. And then there are a few categories that you can actually focus on too. For example, if you are telling me you are designing for activewear, sportswear, of course, you want to tick on active here. And then we also have seasons, we also have year, content type, and lastly is our hashtag here. So for hashtags, this is very important, especially if you have a very specific trend that you want to look at. So for example, in 2022 to 2023, we know that the 90s trend in fashion has made its return. So if you want to see what are the 90s trend, what are the design elements or the silhouettes of the 90s that we can learn, you can actually tick on the 90s here. And this one is specifically for activewear. So you can see how I'm being more specific on what I want to research on, and you can also do that by playing with the filters here. So this is your fashion feed. The next one, I want to move on to images. Let me move on to images. So images, this is your image library and also design resources. So if you're doing research, you are collecting materials for your report, for example, or even like you are making your mood boards for your design, you can actually take the image that you see here in WGSN in the image library. However, what I want to remind everyone, don't forget to reference it, especially for your projects, because we also outsource some of the images outside WGSN. We also take it from the other retailers, the other brands. So make sure you only use it for your research and don't use it to post it out. For example, let us look at retail trends. Okay. For example, if you are working on a project on visual merchandising and you want to take the selfish window display image as your mood board, you find this interesting. So what you need to do is, again, you need to put your references, go back to the Selfridges, because we also give you the original address of where this picture is coming from, so that you need the proper citation for these particular images. And again, you can only use it for your research. Please don't use it to post it out. If you want to download these images, your download button is on your right-hand side here. So you can zoom it in. For example, if you want to see certain details. So now you can feel what kind of products that they put it on the window display. And you can also zoom into a certain details in the window display. Or if you want to take this, you can just crop it and then you can download it. So this is the download button. So once you crop it, it means that you're downloading the crop images. You can also print it out. So for example, if you are doing some image collaging, I know that some of the universities still use some collaging to make your own mood board. Feel free to print it out here. Okay, so this is your images. Now I will move on to the next one, which is your design resources. For design resources, I know that in this room, we must have the future fashion designers here. So yes, if you are designing your collection, you can actually download the tag pack, the 2D tag pack from WGSN here. So as you can see, we have covered different product categories in here. If you want to be more specific on your topics, on the products, you can actually use the filter in here. I will recommend to go to the product, go to the apparel. And for example, if you're designing dresses, you can actually tick on dress and click apply. Give me a second. Oops, let me start over. So every time you experience this kind of error, you just need to refresh it so that you can find the right image. Because sometimes when you open up for quite a while, sometimes this kind of like short error will happen. Okay, let me try again. I will go to the design resources and the 2D CAD. Okay, so this is how you can actually download the tag pack in here. You just need to click on the item and click download here. This is your 2D tag pack. And then we also have the 3D tag pack. So I don't know if you have a certain modules that teach you about 3D, or if you are interested to know more about 3D tag pack, you can actually download it from WGSN as well, because we have this file for you to download. And this 3D CAD is compatible with an app called CLO. So if you want to find out more about that, I will recommend you to research on CLO. And then the next one that you have for your design resources is your prints and graphics. So I know that for fashion, you usually have your digital printing. You want to print it out on your dresses or your tops. So you can actually use these designs that our internal team has created for you. What you need to do is just to click on the image and you can click download. What I will recommend if you don't want to see specific image or prints being used or even like being used by the other students, you want to have one unique prints and patterns, you can actually take some detail elements in here by using our crop tools. And you can turn it into your own authentic prints and patterns too. So you can zoom in on this, and maybe when you download it and open up in your Photoshop, you can add on flowers, you can add on seashells, you can add on any icons that you want to make it more original. So you can also take what we have designed and be more creative in adding some other details to make it more unique to you. Okay, so this is your prints and graphics. The next one, I will want to introduce you to the tools that we have in WGSN. It's called Spaces. Spaces, you can find it in your account name. You can find Spaces in here. So Spaces is actually a folder inside WGSN. So in WGSN, you can save reports, you can save images, you can save the feeds that we've seen earlier. You can save everything inside WGSN. You don't have to download everything to your computer because we know that sometimes when you're downloading them, the file is too big. It might take a certain memory in your computer. So in order to organize your reports in here, your research in here, you can create a new folder here just by one click. It will appear in the untitled version. Double click it to rename it. So for example, if you are working on a women's wear 2024, so you can name it this way. Once you're ready, you can click save. And with this folder, you can move it around. It's very flexible. You can rename it anytime you like, archive it if you don't want it anymore, and you can share it with the other users. So if you're working in a team project and you want to work individually at home, but still sharing the relevant information with the team, you can actually save your file, save your reports, and just share it within the team. So in this case, you can look for your team member. For example, I'm looking for my colleague, Namtas here, and click on the name and click save. So later on, tasks will actually receive the folder that I have saved and having the same access. So you can see there are a few other folders that I have here, and you can also do that. So it will be more organized. Now I will help you to save things to the spaces. I will start with the feeds. So let's go to the feeds in here. So this is the feed. So for example, I want to save this one here for my autumn winter 2023 folders as an inspiration. So the save button, you can find it in here at the bottom of the images. Click save, click on the folder, and click save. So when you go back to the folder, you can see that it appears in here. So that is for your feed. It's the same with images too. You can also do that. So for example, if I'm saving this jacket from Mango, the save button is here. Click on it, pick on the folder, and click save. Again, when you feel it, it will be in here. This will be very useful for you if you are collecting images, making a mood board, or even like being more organized with your research. You can actually collect them together in one folder so that when you want to come back to the images or you want to come back to the report, you know where you can find it. Now, when it comes to report, for example, I want to save this report here. You can save this report by clicking on the save button on your right-hand side. So as you can see from the screen, click on it, pick on the folder, and click save. And once you go back and refresh it, the reports is in here. So we also put the icon so that you know this is image, this is feed, this is report. Okay, so I hope you understand the tools, and after this session, you can start saving lots of reports for you to read later in your free time. Okay, so now I will move on to the navigations of the reports in here, where you can find certain informations and where you can actually navigate more efficiently. So for fashion, I will recommend you for a first timer, you can go in a chronological order. Chronological order means looking from your left-hand side to your right-hand side. So you're from your future strategies, market, season, research and create, category, and buying and retail. From future strategies here, this is where we will give you a big reports looking at the whole world, looking at the global forces, looking at the roots of the trends. So you can understand the fashion industry, you can understand your consumer in the future strategies. Then you can be more specific with your product, going to market, going to season, going to your design elements here, going to different categories. And lastly, looking at the retails. Let me start with future strategies. So for future strategies, we have content calendar. So content calendar is for you to keep updated on the reports that we release in WGSN. So for example, if you're looking for color reports, you know that we have one sustainable color reports in January, or you can expect another one in April, for example. So this is how you keep updated on the reports that we have. We categorize them based on women, men's, kids, and trade show. I know that trade show is really important for the design team here. So if you're designers, you're looking for materials, you cannot travel to visit that particular trade show, you can actually view it in WGSN because we have that trade show reports. We do cover that in WGSN. This is the list of a trade show that we have depending on what you are working on. If you're working on designing footwear, you might want to check out Cautery, or you can also check out makeup. And there are many more here. So after this session, if you forget what I just presented, you can always go back to your content calendar because this is where you can find the definition of each of the reports. So we also put on timeline. So if, for example, if you're looking for a longer planning, you can look at our macro forecast, you can look at our color forecast. If you're looking at 1-year planning, buying reports is great for merchandisers and buyers. And then if you're looking for a short-term trends, you can look at our catwalk reports or even like looking at retail reports. So this is your content calendar. The next one, I'll move on to macro forecast. So for macro forecast, just like its name, this is where you will find the macro drivers of the trends. So from the macro drivers, we are looking at what you might be familiar with. It's called the past analysis, where we will look at the political factor, we'll look at economical factor, we'll look at social, we'll look at technology. But in WGSN, we call it stepping, which is our own unique methodology. It's kind of like the same framework. However, we do add in some other factors in here, such as industry and creativity. So you can see that we have society, technology, environment, politics, industry, and creativity. So if you're doing research around macro drivers or macro forces, or even like if you're doing your own past analysis, I will recommend you to look at this report here called Future Innovations, or even like looking at our other reports in the macro forecast. You can look at static innovations, and also you can also look at big ideas too. So for big ideas, this is where we are being more specific into fashion industry. We are still looking at the 6 macro drivers from society, technology, environment, creative industries, and political. However, we are being more specific to what it means to the fashion industry. So this is where you will discover the 6 need-to-know directions that will impact the fashion industry, specifically in 2024. So I will recommend everyone in this room to read this before you actually jump into some of the design inspiration or design details. Because from here, you will understand your consumers that you are targeting, that you are designing your products to. So this is one of the report that I will recommend. The next one is product forecast. Product forecast, will be very great for the designers, even like merchandisers, even like marketers, because you will see the big fashion trends in this product forecast. And we also separate them or categorize them into different concepts. So I know that with fashion designers, you have one concept that you might really like that you want to portray in your collection. Maybe that's why it makes, the designers in the world different from each other. For example, maybe Chanel has its own style compared to Maison Margiela. So this is how you can find those concepts that they celebrate in this product forecast here. We do cover different concepts. So I have filtered down to spring summer 24 just to show you how this concept is different from each other. So take examples of the women's wear forecast for spring summer 24. So I will open a few of them so that you can see how it's different. Okay, so usually every season we will have 3 different concepts. So don't worry, like between you and your other students, you will choose different concept from here. For example, the first one, it's about creative confidence. Creative confidence, this is where we will look at how creativity is being brought into a different level or the next level, because we will see some established ideas and structures by championing the literal over literal and looking at something that is more purposeful. Even though it's creative, but we want it to be more influential, we want it to be more radical. So you will see a lot of like design hacks in here. You will see DIY. You will see a precise personalization concept in this creative confidence. It's a direction that celebrates creative freedoms and each of the individual. So if you like this concept, we have the color palette for you to look at. So you can see that this color palette is much more expressive and also nostalgic. You can find your cyber lime, you can find your crimson color in here, sweet mandarins, and we help you to balance it well with the other colors in here. And then if you go down, we have different sub-themes that you can choose. That is why we have a lot of like alternatives and options in one report, so that to make sure you and the other students has different concept to celebrate. So we have the concept, we have the design direction, we have the sustainability options, and what is it relevant for? So feel free to explore this at your own time. The next concept is what we call senscapes. Senscapes is a concept where we celebrate the fusion between nature and technology. So this is where we will see how the physical and virtual realms becoming one, it becoming more interchangeable, which is why you will see a lot of like nature that is created in the metaverse, for example, like that. So you can see shape-shifting forms, you will see color-changing surfaces, you will see a much imaginary dreamscapes in this concept here. From the color palette, we can see it's much brighter. It's you have more variant here, your red tones and your blue tones, and we will balance it well with some neutrals like your parchment and your core color like black. And then again, the same, we will have different sub-themes that you can look at in here. And the third concept, it's about protect and connect. Now in Protect and Connect, this is where we will celebrate about wellness. We will celebrate about people, places, customs, cultures, and communities. If this is a concept of the branding message that you are trying to deliver, I'll recommend you to look at Protect and Connect. So this is where we celebrate our sense of well-being and security as well. Some design here, you'll find it nostalgic. Even from the color itself, you can see how we bring out this versatile palette together, combination of both warm, mood-boosting brights and the calm, neutral hues here. From the concept itself, you have some concepts in here. One of the example, maybe if you're looking at minimalism, you can look at this protect and connect, because just in the first one here, we call it emotional minimalism. But there are many other concepts that you can focus on. So if you're designing resort wear, maybe you can consider boho stores, for example. So those are the conceptual reports that you can find in the product forecast. Now, with market and season, this is just a system for you to filter out what are the topics that you want to see more. If you are designing for women's wear and you just want to see report focused on women's, you can go to women's. And if you're working for a season, for example, if you're working to 2024, which is next year, you can go to spring, summer 24, or even looking at autumn, winter 24, 25. In WGSN, we always forecast 2 years ahead. And the next one is research and create. There are some contents that you can find here, and these will all be relevant to the designers. So if you're fashion designers, I'm sure that you will visit this section a lot, because you can find your catwalk inspirations in here. We cover different fashion week. We have Paris Fashion Week, we have London Fashion Week, Copenhagen, Milan. So if you are interested in seeing what Paris Fashion Week big trends are, what are the designers celebrating, you can see that the top hashtag for here is called Supreme Comfort. So comfort will become the big main theme in the Paris Fashion Week here. And it is leading by these few brands from your Saint Laurent, your Etudes, Givenchy, and many more here. So you can look at what are the key trends. So not only watching the catwalk trends in your in the video campaign, but you can actually look at what are the key trends that we have detected the most in the Paris Fashion Week. So these are the key trends and the colors too, and many more to expect in here. So if you like the Parisian trends, you can look at this Paris Fashion Week. And then for color, we have different color forecasts that you can make use of. One that I want to highlight for this is we have what we call the global color forecast. If you cannot find it here, I will recommend you to choose the search bar tool here to use this a lot to find different information that you want. So earlier I mentioned about global color forecast. So for this global color forecast, this is a type of report where you can use it for some seasonal forecasts. So if you want to bring out the new color for the season, the new color for the year, you can actually look at our global color forecast here. So for example, in the upcoming autumn winter 23-24, you will expect to see more of this palette. And this is your 5 seasonal color from your digital lavender, astro dust, and galactic cobalt, sage leaf, apricot crush. So we will actually explain to you why this is the color for that season, where is it coming from, what are the consumer sentiments, so that you know why we choose this color here. And you can also track it back from this color evolution, so you can see how the orange shades or tones have been changing from season to season. And then we also have design capsule reports here. So if you are designing a small collection, look at the design capsule, because we have different concepts, different products, that different market that we cover here. For example, if you're designing denim for women's, you might want to check out this design capsule for women's smart denim. We also give you the mood and color, and you can also find your tag pack in here. So you don't need to find it in your design resources if it's too much for you to research, but you can go to design capsule and take it from here. So that's your design capsule. Next one is intelligence. Intelligence, this is where we will look at innovations. We will look at consumer mindset, consumer priorities when it comes to fashion design. So there is one report that I want to recommend for you to read. Is looking at women's wear design priorities. Because this is where we will suggest you how you can do what you need to prioritize in the middle of this cost of living crisis, or even like the poly crisis, which we have been experiencing right now. Whether to design a smart and demure directions, which is your business casual wear, or even like to pick versatile color. What are your versatile color? You can find it out in this report. The next one is key item. Key item, this is very crucial for the designers because this is where you will find each of the key items to introduce for your collection. And we do it by season. For example, if you're looking at spring summer 24, you can see that we cover different market, different seasons in here. But we separate the type of reports into two. So you have your core item updates, you have your key item fashions. Let me show you how it's different from each other. So take example of this men's jackets and outerwear for your spring summer 24. For your core item updates, usually what we put it in here is your basics collections, your core collection, something that is more versatile and seasonless, which is why you have your wind cheater in here, you have your jacket, you have your performance jacket. But how you can actually update this, you can see how we give you an alternatives in here. But for your key item fashion, this is something that is more fashionable. So if you're designing something that is very directional, that is new and fresh, you can look at the key item fashion. And then we have your materials and textile too. You can find different denim fabrics and wash in here. You can find your trade show in here too. So the latest one, we have Pitefalati. And we also have the suppliers listed in this type of reports. So feel free to scroll it to the most bottom part to find who provide you with these fabrics in here. So you can research on that more. And if you like this fabric, we also give the credits in here or where this fabric is coming from. And then you also have prints and graphics, very self-explanatory. This is where you'll find your prints and graphics trend. And then lastly is sustainability. Sustainability is a big topic that we cover in WGSN, no matter what vertical that we are in. So in fashions, this is also where you can find your responsible color. You can find how do you design for climate targets, packaging innovations, how to make fashion circular. This is where you'll find your sustainabilities inside. What I recommend for students is to read this sustainability bulletin on your monthly basis, because with this bulletin, we will update you on monthly basis. So the latest one we have for February, and you can see that what are the latest news around sustainability in here. We have your graph and data that you can actually download to support your finding if you are working on a project related to sustainability. And these type of updates will give you a better understanding of how the fashion sustainability industry actually works and progressing right now. Okay, so I'll move on to the next one, which is category. Category is the same like market and season. It's for you to be more specific with your research for that. So if you're designing denim, feel free to go straight away to denim here. And lastly is buying and retail. Buying and retail, we give you retail analysis, we'll give you about brands, and we'll give you reports about buyers. So if you have buying and merchandising modules, I will recommend you to look at buyer's briefing, which I'm going to show you shortly. But if you have branding, branding strategies modules, you can look at our brands, where you can learn about different brands and different messaging that they have here and why we call it brands to watch. This will help you to discover the new brands globally. So for example, for affordable eat brand, keep an eye on Telfar, keep an eye on JPay. For modern jet set, you can look at Anatomy, Bernardo. So you can see that these are the emerging designers globally. And then if you have buying and merchandising modules, you can look at buyer's briefing, because in buyer's briefing, we will tell you what you need to invest on, what you need to test it in your product assortment plan. So for example, if we say protect, we have 3 stages in here. Protect is the highest. If we mean by protect, it means that something that you need to invest a lot on, something that is more versatile. But if we put it invest in the middle, it means that this is something that is still seasonal. You still need to watch on your product assortment planning, how many would you want to invest in this? Not too much, not too little. And then if we put in something on test, which is, for example, this one here, test means that this is a trend that is still emerging, that is new, which is why if you want to buy a clothes with this utility hardware, you need to buy it in a smaller volume to test your market first. So this is how you can actually explain it in your report too when it comes to this buyer's briefing. And lastly is retail. Retail, this is why you will find your retail analysis. We will look at market like US, UK, and Europe to give you an insight how a certain product has been performing, and look at how a certain colors. We also have press previews in here where you can actually see the products before it actually lands in the store. So this is what we call press preview. And with the retail analysis, this is how you can find how a certain item has been performing. For example, I'm opening up a global retail analysis for women's and men's sneaker. So you need to find out what type of sneakers that works very well in the market right now. This is really good for your buying and merchandising module too, if you're doing one, to compare both UK and US market and what type of sneakers that they are looking at these days. So you can see that the highest one is your outdoor sneakers, which is very popular these days. And to compare who is actually driving the sneakers purchasing lately, we even give you the age group in here. So lots of data and graphs that you can use for your research. Even the best performing color for women's and men's in here. Okay. If you are confused with the terms that we have in this report, I will recommend you to scroll down, because we will explain it for you in here, the definition of each of the key terms that we use in buying and merchandising. Okay, so I will stop here to see if you have any questions or even like any comments that you want to share.
มีใครมีคำถามไหมคะ น้องๆมีคำถามไหมคะ มีใครเคยเข้าไปใช้ไหม?
Let me stop presenting first.
Okay. So there are two way to use this database, right? The first is you can browse by the topic that you want from the menu above.
Yeah.
And another way is search by keyword that you want.
Correct. If you want to be more specific, for example, if you want to find blue dress, you can use the search bar tool to type in that, and the relevant reports that mention blue dress or have information about this blue dress will appear. So you can feed those reports from there.
มีใครมีคำถามไหมคะ หนูจะแชทมาก็ได้นะคะ หรือว่าจะเปิดไมค์สอบถามก็ได้เนาะ เวลาที่เราเข้าใช้เนาะเราจะต้องมีการแสดงตัวตนผ่าน Open A10 นะคะแล้วก็อย่างเมื่อกี้ที่พี่สาธิตไปเนาะแล้วก็ทำการล็อกอินเนาะโดยการใช้account ส่วนตัวนะคะซึ่งการล็อกอินเมื่อกี้ก็พี่ก็จะแสดงให้ดูแล้วเดี๋ยวแชร์อีกทีหนึ่งก็ได้เนาะนะคะก็คือที่ตัว I นะคะตรงนี้จะมีวิธีการแนะนำวิธีการล็อกอินนะคะสำหรับคนที่ยังไม่มี Account นะคะต้องการสร้าง Account ครั้งแรกรวมถึงคนที่เคยมี Account แล้วใช้งาน ไป90 วันแล้วนะคะมันก็จะให้ต่ออายุนะคะก็สามารถมาใช้ลิงก์นี้ก็ได้หรือจะมาดูที่ตรงนี้ก็ได้นะคะถ้าเรามี account เรียบร้อยแล้วอ่ะพอเข้ามาถึงตรงนี้เราเชื่อมต่อเข้าหน้าเว็บนะคะเราก็จะมาล็อกอินตรงนี้มันก็จะมี account เราจากนั้นก็สามารถใช้งานได้ตามที่วิทยากรแนะนำได้เลยเนาะแล้วถ้าวันนี้คลิปที่แนะนำวันนี้นะคะพี่จะเอามาแทนตรงนี้ไว้ให้นิสิตสามารถมาดูได้นะคะหรือว่าเดี๋ยวเราก็จะส่งให้กับผู้ที่ลงทะเบียนอบรมไว้นะคะจะส่งคลิปให้หรือว่าจะมาดูที่ user guide ตรงนี้นะจะมีรวมหัวข้อคลิปที่เราจัดอบรมฐานข้อมูลต่างๆที่ผ่านมานะคะรวมถึงฐาน WGSN ด้วยนะคะน้องๆก็สามารถเข้ามาดูตรงนี้ได้นะคะไม่มีคำถามจริงๆหรอ เคยใช้กันหรือเปล่า อันนี้มันก็จะเป็นฐานแบบเฉพาะทางด้านแฟชั่นนะคะก็จะมีรายละเอียดค่อนข้างพอสมควรเนาะก็ตรงนี้ถ้ามีคำถามอะไรยังไงนะคะก็อาจจะต้องน้องๆสามารถส่งมาที่อีเมลตรงนี้ได้นะคะด้านล่างเนาะตรงนี้นะคะ Arc Librarian เนาะถ้ามีคำถามเนาะแล้วเดี๋ยวทางห้องสมุดก็จะส่งต่อไปให้กับวิทยากรนะคะ Now students have no question, but I tell them that if they have any question in the future, they can send to Arc Librarian, and then we will send the question to you. Okay. Thank you. So if no question, on behalf of the Central Library Sinicalin Road University, I would like to thank you, Rivani Changgra, and also Ian Lau to be our speaker today. So I think this will help user to use the WGSN database more effectively. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you ครับคุณครับ
ขอบคุณผู้เข้าร่วมทุกท่านเลยนะคะยังไงรบกวนช่วยทำประเมินให้พี่ด้วยเนาะขอทีมงานช่วยส่งลิงก์ประเมินให้หน่อยนะคะทางแชทนะคะโอเค thank you very much
Thank you.
Bye bye
สวัสดีค่ะ